What's up guys, I'm Akaza and I have a question. What is your most hated mob in Minecraft? Well, mine are creepers. Creeper will just ruin your whole day. This guy will destroy everything around you as well as your soul when you think your armor is going to hold up to a direct contact explosion. With that being said, I'm going to torture myself by spending 100 days in the Creeper Valley made by Shadow Mech. This mod pack is a nightmare for me. There's so many creepers in this mod pack. Creepers blend into their surroundings, custom pillagers that summon mini baby creepers at you, and lastly the mutant creeper. This guy is just evil, and yeah, you'll find out. So I really appreciate all the love you guys showed me on my channel in the last video, and we have surpassed the goal of reaching 100 subscribers by the end of this year, and that really means a lot to me. So if you're new right here, go ahead and subscribe and join the community. And finally, without further ado, this is how I survived 100 days in the Creeper Valley. Day 1. This is gonna be rough. I spent this day gathering essentials and just watching my back. I spent some time hunting animals and found some iron while mining. And to end the night, I made a cave to sleep in for now. On day 2, I had my first sight of a creeper blending into the environment, and I would honestly miss it if, I didn't see it walking around. I cleared the mountain of coal, cut down a large spruce tree for wood, and hunted more animals. After all this, I decided to start a mine and really needed to gear up with armor and tools to survive here. I was finally done in the mine. I found 13 diamonds total, and I was pretty proud of that. Once I got back home, I cooked the iron and ended the day by making full iron armor and tools. And honestly, I was feeling pretty safe now. On day 4, I woke up bright and early to kill some creepers. I spent some time cutting down trees, and as the sun was going down, I decided to go home, and this happened. That was a mutant creeper in my base, and he invaded my home. The only place I felt safe, and at this point I'll never feel safe. On day 5, I went outside to make sure the area was safe, and no it wasn't, so I ran for my life in hopes of him despawning. After a little bit of adventuring, I returned home, and the big guy was gone for now, but not for long. I stayed inside to calm my nerves just to try to feel safe again. On day 6, I started to cook some stone while waiting. I left to go gather materials I was going to need for my house. At last, I found where we were going to live these 100 days. So on days 7 to 12, I spent these days terraforming the area and at last it looks really well. It took a ton of shovels though. On day 13, I realized I had a food problem. So to fix this, I ended up trapping a chicken to start a small farm to get some cooked chicken. On day 14, I eventually trapped another chicken and started working on the fence for these guys so they didn't have to live in a hole. And finally, we have established a chicken farm. After this, I started laying down the foundations of where I wanted my house to be. On day 15, I spent this whole day working on the foundations of the house. On day 16, I went to feed the chickens some delicious fresh seeds. I knew that I would have to wait a while until this farm was finally producing a steady source of food, so I went hunting. I ended up finding a valley full of animals, and I did what I do best. I murdered them all for scientific purposes. I think it's safe to say that I'm good on food. On day 17, I checked on the wheat farm, and the rest of the day I just started working on the house. On days 18 to 23, I worked on the house and finished the main foundations, and I honestly think it's going to look pretty good. On day 24, I worked on the farms, fed the chickens, gathered some oak wood, and after all this, I started clearing out the floor of my house. On day 25, I woke up and seen someone. Then out of nowhere, I realized that was a mutant creeper. I didn't have time for this, so I snuck around and safely got back to my house. Once I was safe inside my home, I finished clearing out the floor and started placing the floor design with the oak wood I gathered. Later that night, I tried to go to sleep, and someone wouldn't let me sleep, and I wasn't about to find out who, so I sat there until morning. On day 26, I gathered more oak wood and went back to work on the floor. At last, the first floor was finished, and like clockwork, I went back home and the mutant creeper was underneath my house trying to harass me once again. On day 27, I worked on the second floor. I was heading back home. I had a visitor. I realized this guy was not friendly and ran my happy ass back home as fast as I could. There was a ton of baby creepers just running at me, and this guy was evil. On day 32, I spent this day mining for granite, and while down there, I found a pretty good bit of diamonds. On day 33, I went and checked on the farm and went ahead and fed the chickens with the seeds I got. After all that, I spent the rest of the day working on the roof of my house. On day 34, I spent this day working on the roof, and as I was heading home, I noticed that the mutant creeper was inside my house, and I ran to the cave as fast as I could, hoping he'd be despawned by in the morning. On day 35, I went to check inside my house for the mutant creeper, and thankfully he was gone. However, while working on the roof, I found where he went, and eventually he disappeared. I spent the rest of this day working on the roof. On day 36, I spent this entire day working on the roof. On day 37, I walked outside ready for a great day of building, and I was jumped by a mutant skeleton.
Hello, motherfucker.
I ran to my house and barricaded myself upstairs, and eventually I felt safe enough to continue working on the roof again. On days 38 and 39, I spent these days working on the roof as well. On day 40, I woke up bright and early to do some good old farming. Right after that, I went mining for more granite that I was going to need. On day 41, I came back with 17 diamonds, so in total now I have 30. This mining trip was honestly very successful. Once I got everything together, it was time to go work on the roof again. On days 42 to 43, I spent these days working on the roof, and it was finally finished. On day 44, it was time to start detailing the house, so I spent this whole entire day working on it. On day 45, I checked on the farm and fed the chickens, my typical morning routine. I then went and continued detailing the house, and eventually I ran out of wood and spent the rest of the day gathering. On day 46, I spent this whole day chopping down trees. And I went home and a creeper inside blew up everything, and this is why I hate creepers. They just make your life hell. So on day 47, thanks to the creeper, I spent this whole day reorganizing my chest. If I couldn't have gotten any worse, as I was adding details to the house, I noticed a mutant creeper inside the house, so I ran waiting for the night. Didn't want that dude to shred my house apart, so I had to go. On days 48 and 49, I spent these days finishing the details, and it looks very beautiful, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. On day 50, I spent this day planning out the interior of my house. On day 51, I was visited by the wandering trader, so it was only right that I borrowed his leads. Once that was done, I worked on the main storage area inside the house. On day 52 to 56, I spent these days working on the interior of the house. On day 57, I realized I needed a lot of materials that I needed for, just building in general, so I spent this day preparing for a mining trip. And with that being said, on days 58 and 59, I spent these days mining. On day 60, I threw all the iron I found into the furnaces to cook so I could make the hoppers I needed for my smelter. On day 61, a creeper thought he was slick and tried to get inside my house, but that wasn't happening. I spent some time chopping down trees and finally finished the auto smelter. After that, I knew we were going to need to lighten up everything, so I threw some lanterns all around the house. On day 62, I went outside and seen this weird guy, then this happened. It was a mutant Enderman and it started attacking me. I ran in my mind to hide and spent some time mining for iron, hoping that he would go away. I finally went back up and this happened. This guy scared the hell out of me. Honestly, I had no idea what to do. On day 63, this guy was still outside and attacked me while I was trying to write this actually. But I had a plan. I wanted to finish the mine that was under my house, and hopefully I'll be gone so long that he despawns. Now that the mine was done, it's time to go up and see if he's gone. Thankfully he's gone because there was no way I was going to be able to fight him. On day 64, I checked to see if my auto smelter worked, and boom, it does, so gotta love to see it. I spent the day fully moving into the house, and once I was done, I went to the chicken's farm to show them some love. On day 65, I did some farming. I needed to bring some more animals to the farm, so we went to the same valley that I went hunting earlier to find them. Found some sheep, so I brought them back home and made them a hole to live in for now. There goes our first baby sheep in this world. I'm again making a path outside our house, and this enderman was trying to get inside, and I gladly denied him. On day 66, I knew I needed to find some cows for leather, so I went adventuring to bring cows back home. Eventually I brought these cows I found back home, and finally we have all the animals we were going to need for the barn. On day 67, I spent this whole day chopping down trees. On day 68 and 69, I spent these days terraforming the area. Again, preparing building materials I was going to need for the barn. On day 70, I started laying out the foundations of my barn. I realized that I was going to need to do some more terraforming. Once I finished that, I continued laying down the foundations, and nighttime started to come, so it was bedtime. Newsflash, a creeper was upstairs and I had to kill him. Now it's time for bed. On day 71, I started working on the barn and I was attacked by a pillager. Once I killed him, I realized he was alone, and it was weird. Typically they're in packs, right? I felt safe for now, so I kept working on the barn. On day 72 to 77, I spent these days working on the barn. I went upstairs to go to bed. This creeper wizard guy was in my room and eventually killed me. Go ahead and comment down below how it wasn't my fault, so I feel, better about myself. Please. I got my stuff back, and now let's forget this happened. On day 78, it was time to get back to work on the barn. However, I eventually ran out of granite for the roof, so it was time to go mine some more. On day 79, I went mining for diamonds, and while down there, grabbed some more granite, and I instantly found diamonds. On day 80, I was still in the mine. Eventually, I went home and got blown up. Somehow I didn't die, and I'm not going to question it, so I went to sleep. Day 81, I smelted the iron I found while mining, and spent the rest of the day repairing my house. Once I was finished, I filled every furnace up with a stack of cobblestone to make some stone I needed for the future. On day 82, it was finally time to get back to work on the barn. I finished the roof and went back inside to make some lanterns for the farm. On day 83, I placed lanterns on the barn and it was finally done. I moved the animals over, and at last they were finally safe. On day 84, I had a new goal in mind. I wanted full diamond gear. I checked on how many diamonds I had, and I had 46 diamonds in total, so I was good to go. I made full diamond armor and tools, and I was feeling safer than ever. I went to go feed the cows and sheep, and they were looking happy to be out the hole in the ground. I hatched all the eggs I collected over time, and now I had a good bit of chickens in the farm. And I spent the rest of the day chopping down trees. On day 85, I faced the greatest enemy in his eyes. I started working on the foundations of my wheat farm and tried to connect the paths to the farm until, almost died once again. Oh! Once I was good, I went back outside and finished the wheat farm. I looked over and seen my man was chilling with the cows. I'm pretty sure the cows were telling him how I was going to kill him one day. On day 86, I added water to the farm and planted all the seeds to have the farm ready. I spent the day feeding the animals, finishing the path, and lit up the farm with lamps. And on day 87, I realized the area outside was dark, so I built lamps around the path to light up the area. I spent the rest of the day laying out the pillars for the wall to bring the compound all together. On day 88, I kept laying out the pillars until I ran out of wood. So I spent the rest of the day chopping down trees to finish the wall. And on days 89 and 91, I spent these days working on the wall. On day 92, as I was minding my own business working on the wall, this group of pillagers had the audacity to attack me. And that didn't go too well for them. I ended up getting an enchanted crossbow out of it, so that was pretty cool. On day 93, I worked on the wall and once again attacked by more pillagers. Eventually I realized that guy was in my house and I had to go. On day 94, I did some farming and fed the animals. I took another look and he was still in my house. I couldn't get the materials I needed from inside my house, so I had to wait him out. On day 95, I chopped some trees down, realizing he finally despawned. I spent the rest of the day finishing the wall and it looks great. To add some love to the base, I planted some big trees and placed the banners right underneath. And on day 96, I added some decorations to the trees and banners. I finally finished the compound and now, it was time to fight the mutant creeper. On day 97, I took the iron I had and made an anvil. I repaired my crossbow and made some arrows. I turned the gravel I had into flint and boom, more arrows. On day 98, I cut down some oak trees for, the hopes of getting some apples. While I was waiting around, I found a broken portal, so decided to check it out. Not the best loot, but whatever. I found only 2 apples, so I went back home and turned them into golden apples. Might as well make full golden armor as a throw on the armor stand, you know. On day 99, I made an item frame and put the clock up I found in my room. I walked around the compound because I knew this really could be the end. I had fun warming up for the mutant creeper by fighting all these pillagers. I had the banner with the other two under the trees. And after all the mayhem of these past 100 days, I watched the sunset for the last time. I stayed awake all night to allow the mutant creeper to spawn, and that he did. On day 100, it was the day, and I found him. I was trying to flank him and realized that giving him time to spawn allowed everything else to spawn. I got overrun by a ton of creepers, but I had it under control. I, for some reason, couldn't hit this guy, and why? This was a setup that he has planned all along. I realized that there was no way I was killing this guy, and I tried to run, and I died. Well, that was fun. Well, yeah, that was unfortunate. I had no idea where or if I could hit him with the crossbow, but oh well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching me live in my nightmare these past 100 days. I definitely was on edge the whole time and had to progress a lot slower than I usually do. However, if you guys are new around here, go ahead and subscribe. Well, I'm Akaza, and this was my journey in Creeper Valley. See you guys in the next video.